How's it going, everyone? My name is Lionel, and welcome to Yandere Island. As you can see, it seems that we've got about 6 love interests to go through. I'm not sure exactly how things are gonna go, but I imagine it's gonna be a fun time. So, let's get right into it, shall we? You woke up to the sound of water crashing on the shore, and sand uncomfortably stuck on your skin. As you pushed yourself up and blinked open your bleary eyes, all you could see was a vast ocean in front of you. Your boat had been struck by a rogue wave while you had been out sailing with a few friends, tossing you overboard. You were never the strongest swimmer, so you were just glad to survive long enough to make it to land. You stood, legs shaky as you brushed yourself off, freezing as you heard a shuffle in the bushes behind you. You were not alone. What are your pronouns? Okay, sorry for laughing, but literally, like, my thoughts immediately went to, like, you're out in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden, someone sneaks up to you, and the first thing to say is, "What are your damn pronouns? Tell me your pronouns!" Him. A man with dark hair, held back in a low ponytail, steps out of the bushes, looking at you with shock in his dark green eyes. He blinked, opening his mouth to speak before promptly closing it. Deciding against his original words, he tried again, giving you a little smile. So you immediately, like, took back what you said. Like, your first thing to ask me are, like, what are my pronouns? Without even knowing my name! So, did you wash up here too? Yeah, I got washed overboard. Like, I think my crew marooned me or something. Yeah, I got washed overboard, you said, giving a roll of your eyes. Where are we and who are you? I'm Torrin Gray. As for where we are, well, none of us really know. He gave a little shrug of his shoulders, tilting his head as he took you in. What's your name? My name? Well, you can call me Captain. Let's just go with Captain this time round. Nice to meet you, Captain. I hate being the bearer of bad news, but you'll probably be here for a while. The guys and I have been here for, I think, around 6 months. Well, it sounds y'all need a captain around here. I'm not the one keeping track of time. You probably had to talk with Jacob to figure that out. Huh. Well, the guys? There's more? The guys, you asked, raising your eyebrows. Yeah, the guys, Torrin said. There are 6 of us here in total, me and then 5 others. He took a breath, giving a small smile. If you're willing to trust me, I can show you the camp we made. We have food and water, and you won't have to worry about trying to survive this island by yourself. Well, lead the way, crewmate. Lead the way, he said, giving a casual shrug. I don't want you to get lost on the way. We made a lot of paths during our time here, he told you, giving your hand a squeeze. I'm sure you learned them soon enough. With a small nod, you follow him as he leads the way into the trees. You weren't sure about the paths he was talking about. Everything looked the same to you. He seemed to know where he was going though, so all you could do was trust him. Torrin leads you up through the trees, stopping when you arrive. Calling it a camp was an understatement. He seemed to have forgotten to mention his camp was a bunch of interconnected tree houses that lined the other sides of the clearing, while the clearing itself had a small pond, a place set up for a campfire, and what looked like a garden. Wow, this is... You trailed off, looking around. He gave your hand a squeeze. I know, it's a lot. Luckily, we built a lot, so there's plenty of room, he told you. Let's go see if the others are around. He led you up to the base of what looked like the main treehouse. It was the largest one among the many tree branches and had a ladder built of sturdy sticks leading up to its entrance. Hey, anyone still here? He yelled out after letting go of your hand, cupping his hands around his mouth to amplify his voice some. Oh, hello, cutie. A man with brown hair and glasses poked his head out of one of the windows of the adjacent tree houses. Why are you yelling? He asked, a confused look on his face. It's just me and Nicholas. Who's that? Well, I'm gonna introduce myself. Oh, I'm the captain here. I washed up here and... There wasn't much to explain other than the fact that you washed up here. What else was there to say about your situation? When you climbed the ladder, you came face to face with the brunette with curly hair from before, his brown eyes wide as he looked at you. Hi, you said, giving him an awkward little... That's not the way a captain should do it. It should be like, hello there. And your name is... He blinked, shaking his head. Oh, right. I'm Jacob. It's nice to meet you. You gave a small nod as Torrin climbed up behind you. Right, he was the one keeping track of time from what Torin told you. Huh, well, I suppose we have some time to have some idle chitter-chatter. Well, tell me more about yourself, Jacob. Nice to meet you, Jacob, you said, giving a slight nod of your head. You're the one keeping track of time, right? Torin told me about that. Jacob froze for a moment, watching you talk before finally regaining his words.
Yeah, I'm the one keeping track of time for the most part. Just the days in general. Nothing much,
he said, trailing off with a little shrug. Huh. Well, it is important, though. You are doing excellent work here, Jacob. Good on you. But that's important, you said, giving a sure nod. I mean, not knowing how much time passed would be strange. I mean, you all might go insane if that happened or something.
Yeah, it does let us have stuff like holidays.
Alright then, Torin said, giving a small smile as he spoke up. Jacob, you said that Nicholas was here too, right? We might as well go and meet him. You looked at the dark-haired male by your side, giving a nod. If you were going to be here for God knows how long, you might as well get to know everyone. Yeah, you agree. Let's go. Torin led the way across the bridge to a makeshift door and gave a small knock. A grumpy-looking man opened the door, pushing his hair back as the red strands that faded to orange were out of his face. He looked back and forth between Torin and you, blinking before shaking his head and looked at Torin. You wash up here, or do we finally have a way to get off this island? He asked, giving a little smirk. I mean, I'm not complaining either way. What's your name, cutie? Well, I will tell him my name, cause hey, I am the captain here, I said, giving a little shrug on my shoulders. I washed up here, but who knows, maybe we'll all get rescued when my friends come to find me. I mean, not like my crew marooned me here. If your friends come find you, Nicholas said, leaning against the doorframe. We all thought our friends would find us too. Who knows, maybe you'll get lucky, he told you. Although there was obvious doubt in his voice, he gave a pointed look at Torin. You know, we don't have an extra bed set up. Do you know where he'll be staying? Oh, of course you didn't think of that, Nicholas said, shaking his head. He turned his attention to you, leaning forward slightly. You can share my room anytime you want, cutie. Just let me know. Alright, that's enough of you, Torin said with a roll of his eyes. Come on, Captain. Let's go introduce you to the others whenever they arrive. You already saw Jacob, so we can go and wait by the pond or something, he said, grabbing your wrist and starting to pull you away. You glanced over your shoulder, seeing Nicholas behind you, glaring. Upon seeing that you were looking at him, he gave you a quick wink before going back into his room and shutting the door. Well, obviously, someone here is very, very fun. Torin led you to the ladder, climbing down first before you followed down, making sure you didn't fall or get hurt. Once you were safely on the ground, Torin took it upon himself to lead you around the clearing. He started with the garden, telling you how Oliver usually took care of the plants. Oh, looks like he's back, Torin said with a small smile, gesturing to a guy with dirty blonde hair and his arms filled with seaweed, made his way over. Oliver paused a distance away, seeming to freeze as he looked at you for a moment before shaking his head and heading to the garden. Come on, Ollie, are you going to ignore me? Torin asked, stepping over him and tilting his head. It's rude to ignore people, you know, especially people who've had a really rough day. Oliver sighed, straightening and focusing on you. Hi, I'm Oliver. You washed up here, right? I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. Yeah, I guess I'll introduce myself. Yes, I am the captain here, he said, giving Oliver a small smile. It's nice to meet you. You trailed off, watching his face go somewhat blank as he blinked a few times. Oliver shook his head. Sorry, let me finish this first, and then we can talk more if you'd like, he said, giving a nod at the seaweed in his arms. Torin interrupted before you could say anything. Maybe later, Oliver. For now, I'd like to get him introduced to everyone. After all, he'll be here for a while, he trailed off for a moment, shaking his head. You know where Marcus and Michael are? Oliver shook his head. No, I don't know where they are. Michael never tells anyone anything, and Marcus is probably there in the trees somewhere or something. Torin nodded. That makes sense. Alright, well, let's go and find him. Might as well show you around the island, since you've seen all around the clearing. Taking your hand, Torin gives a small nod to Oliver before leading the way to God knows where. After all, you didn't know anything from around the island. How were you supposed to know where you were going? As the two of you walked on a path, you couldn't really distinguish from the rest of the trees around you. Both you and Torin could hear voices in the distance. Both voices were male and unknown to you. Oh, hello. As you walked over, you could see a guy with messy brown hair arguing with a guy with short black hair. You could hear something about a book, but you didn't know what started or why they were arguing in the first place. Torin reached up, grabbing a branch above his head and shaking it roughly. The sound was enough to cause the boys to stop arguing and freeze as they waited to see what happened. Torin led you forward again, giving the two a pointed look. We have a guest. I will introduce myself. I'm the captain. Hello, he said, getting tired of introducing himself all day to guys you'd be living with for who knows how long. The two just stared at you, wide-eyed and frozen for a moment. The black-haired man was the first to break his silence though, a grin forming on his face as he stretched lightly. Well. Look at him introducing himself all on his own, he said. I'm Michael, and this idiot's Marcus Monroe. Michael gestured to the brunette standing next to him offhandedly. They were probably fighting over something stupid that you don't need to get caught up with, Torin said. It wasn't stupid. That Peepee decided it would be fun to knock me out of a tree, Marcus said, giving a hit jerk in Michael's direction. Michael rolled his eyes. I didn't knock you out. You fell. Wait, I know what the deaf man said. They gave Michael a pointed stare, but I'd like to imagine that Marcus just like, oh yeah? You knocked me out of a tree, bruh? You knocked me out of a tree! Oh god, I gotta calm down a little. Michael rolled his eyes. I didn't knock you out. You fell. Well, I guess I'll agree with Marcus. You couldn't help but mentally agree with Marcus. It seemed like Michael was the type to do something to make someone fall. It doesn't matter what happened, alright? Both of you need to just suck it up and get it over with, Torin said, trying to get into both Michael and Marcus. Oh, onto, not into. That's not sus whatsoever. You blinked, the exhaustion of the day finally hitting you. You had been through so much. Washed overboard, finding yourself on this island, getting introduced with the current residents who've been here for some time. You were just tired. So tired. Like, you let out a sob breath. The quiet noise caused all three guys to look at you. Marcus made his way towards you, a little frown on his face as he stared at you for a moment. Captain is exhausted. Torin, did you just drag him out around without giving them a moment of rest? He questioned, and the guilty look of Torin's face said everything. Take him back to the treehouse and give him some sleep. Hey, wait a minute, Marcus said before getting cut off by a glare from Marcus. Are you just gonna argue with me about health-related issues? Marcus questioned, watching as Michael shook his head. Torin took your hand, leading you back to the camp to follow what Marcus said about getting you rest. He was quiet the entire time, looking at you every once in a while with a worried expression. When you arrived at the clearing, he made sure you got up and into the treehouse just fine. Alright, Torin said, a little frown on his face as he looked at you. We don't have an extra place for you yet, but I'm sure someone is willing to share their bed for the night. We can make a place to sleep in your own room, but that might take some time. He gave you a small smile, tilting his head. Is there anyone in particular you'd like to stay with for the night? He gave you a sigh. I know it's not the best option, but it's the only one we really have. Honestly, wait, what? Okay, Marcus, Michael, Oliver, Jacob, Nicholas, you? Yeah. Okay, honestly, I prefer to sleep with Jacob. He seems like the most level-headed in the group. So yeah, Jacob. Torin gives a little nod. Alright then, I'll take you to his room and tell him you're staying there for the night, he said, before pausing and thinking for a moment. If it is anything you're comfortable with, tell me. I'll make sure he doesn't bother you again. You nod, agreeing to what he said before, following Torin to the room, going inside and practically falling into the makeshift bed. Your eyes were just so heavy. You fall asleep, grateful you could use the bed. Even though you were in a strange new place, these guys seemed happy to help you adjust. Still, there was something about all of them that puts you on edge. I wake up. You groan, blinking awake as you come face to face with a grinning brunette. Morning, Captain. How'd you sleep? Marcus asked, tilting his head slightly as he sat up. I figured you'd be hungry first thing in the morning, so yeah, he said with a little half shrug. He helped you up, leading the way to the door. He looked over his shoulder at you, a small smile on his face. Yesterday was a lot, right? If you don't feel like eating with the group, I could bring our food up here, he offered. Yeah, I can handle it. Let's go eat with the group, you said with a nod. Marcus smiled, gesturing you to follow him out of the treehouse and down to the group. The others were gathered around the smoldering remains of a campfire. holding little handmade bowls as they quietly chatted. They paused as you and Marcus approached, and Nicholas stood with a grin, coming over to hand both of you and Marcus a bowl. You took your bowl and went to sit with the others. So, Captain, how'd you sleep? Torin asked, giving you a small smile. Yeah, fine, you say with a little wave of your hand. Marcus leaned over, gently bumping your shoulder with his. Hey, do you want to help me later? I need to check some medical supplies and make some rope. It's really boring, so I'd like some company, he said. You figured that you might as well help him. After breakfast, you head up to the ladder to the treehouse with Marcus, ready to start your day. You watch as Marcus grinned, and you couldn't help but grin a little too. So, checking medical supplies? What are you, a doctor or something, you asked? He laughed, shaking his head. Not a doctor, but I'm a nurse, he explained. Yeah, I got my nursing degree, and when we landed here, I basically became the unofficial doctor. Luckily, nothing bad has happened. A couple of bumps and cuts, nothing that couldn't be patched up with supplies from a boat crash, or what we found on the island, he stated, with a little wave of his hand. He gave a small chuckle. That actually sounds like it could be stressful. I mean, don't you have to ration stuff? Yeah, we're working and trying to figure out how to make something similar to an antibacterial. We really got lucky with 3 science majors in our friend group, he said. Anyway, we should get started, right? Boxes to check, rope to make. It'll be great, Marcus said with a grin, standing up and holding his hand out to help you out too. All the major medical supplies are kept by the entrance treehouse. That way we can get to them quickly, you know, he said. It made sense, and Yandere help you up and lead the way to the entrance treehouse. He pulled out a box off the wall, opening it up and showing it to you. We have a few of these stored around the island, just in case of emergencies, Marcus explained. Just with bandages and stuff, nothing huge like cold packs or anything, but they're good for quick fixes. He talked you through everything that was usually stored in this box, before telling you what was generally in the others scattered around. It's not the most exciting job, but still, he said with a shrug. I like the routine. He closed the box with a snap, stepping closer to you. Would you rather start making some rope or go and check on the rest of the boxes? Might as well go check on the boxes. Well, we might as well check on the boxes. You could show me around the island while you're at it, you say with a little grin. Marcus grinned back, giving you a little nod. Sounds like a plan, sweetheart. Let me just grab my bag and we'll be on our way. Marcus scooped out a brown messenger bag, throwing it over his shoulder and digging through it for a moment. Yep, all set, he said, gesturing towards the ladder to the ground. After you. He heads down to the ladder, pausing once he reached the bottom. Marcus followed soon after and started to lead the way through the forest. You did your best to follow along as he pointed in certain directions and told you where things were. This is a lot to remember. You couldn't help but mutter to yourself as you looked around. If you recall, the direction was the beach. That way led to the camp. You weren't paying attention to the brunette in front of you as you stopped walking, making you bump into him. You stumbled back for a moment, looking up at the back of his head. He turned, looking at you with a soft smile. I know it's probably a lot. If you need any help, I'm always available. There is nothing wrong with needing a bit of help, especially a new environment, and who better to help you than someone who explores around the island basically every day. He made a pretty valid point. Yeah, I think I like that, you said, trailing off a little smile. You trailed off, seeing Marcus's face light up at your words. Like I said, I'd be more than happy to help. Just let me know, he told you with a grin. He gestured you to follow him. Come on, we're almost to the first box. I think you like the area, Marcus said, holding his hand out to you. You placed your hand in his, letting him lead the way. You walked with Marcus as he led you through the trees until you reached a secluded point. When you stopped, you realized you weren't too far from the camp. It was far enough for privacy, but close enough for an easy walk. You could even smell campfire smoke from here. This is where we normally go wash up. So I figured you need to know where this is, he said. We usually get our water from the stream up there. We collect it, ran through the filter Michael made, and hasn't killed us yet. This place was pretty. I know, right? If you need help finding this place again, just let me know. I'm more than happy to be there for you. To help you, of course. Anyway, there's a first aid kit here, right? Marcus blinked, looking around for a moment. Yeah, there's a first aid kit here somewhere. Over tucked in a tree, he said, heading over and pulling at a box. He opened it for a moment, rummaging inside before giving a nod. Looks like that's everything here. Now we have to head to the other locations. You give a nod, and pause when Marcus reached out to take your hand. Sorry, I don't want you getting lost while we walk. Yeah, I'll hold his hand. You give his hand a soft squeeze, looking up at him with a little smile. You felt relaxed around Marcus, like you could trust him. He was sweet, comforting, and you just liked being around him. Let's go, sweetie. We still have to make some rope today too, Marcus said, his thumb brushing over the back of your hand as he led you forward. Marcus led the way to the next location, having you assist him when he changed out material in the first aid boxes. He took you all around the island, to the point when you finally arrived at the camp. You were worn out. You made a smart decision to just flop to the ground and relax for a moment. Marcus looked at you with a little grin, tilting his head slightly. You having fun down there? Yeah, actually. Yeah, I'm having an absolute blast here. Good old time on the ground, like, would you like to join me? The best feeling in the world is when I can't feel my bones because someone had me travel around with him. You watched as Marcus laughed, shaking his head as he held a hand out to you. Taking it, he helped you up and you stumbled into him. Let's at least get you up into the treehouse. Want me to carry you up? Honestly, I can walk. This is very dangerous. Like, I do not want anyone to die just yet. Nah, I can walk. You stepped away, giving a little stretch before going and climbing up the ladder. Marcus following behind you. Exactly, it's up a ladder. Who carries people up ladders? Like, no one in their right mind would do this. Jesus Christ. When you both reached the top, Marcus brushed past you, looking over his shoulder and giving you a grin. I'll be right back with the rope supplies. You nod, settling down on the floor. He came back with a pile of fibers in his arms, settling them down in front of you as he sat. We'll be using tree fibers, Marcus explained, getting a good handful from the pile and tying them together with a few extra strands. You scoot closer, watching Marcus get started as he explained what he was doing. You just keep twisting and crossing over the strands, like you're braiding, but it's 2 groups instead of 3. When you reach the end, you can splice more fibers in, he said, showing you as he worked. Well, I guess I'll try it myself. You reach your hand out, take a handful of fibers for yourself, and try your best to copy what Marcus was doing. It kept your attention, the constant repetitive motion, it was comforting. You focus on making the rope, not paying attention to anything else. You're pretty good at this job, Captain, Marcus said, making you pause. You know, these ropes are surprisingly strong. Want to give them a try? Sure. Sure, why not? You hold your hand out to Marcus, not quite sure what he meant by test it out, but curious enough to be willing to try. Marcus gave a laugh, shaking his head. Both heads out, sweetheart. If you want to test rope, there's no better way than pulling. That made sense. Why are you tying me up already? I mean, this could go one of 2 ways, okay? 1, alright? We're immediately kidnapped. We're in the middle of the ocean. There's no one to save us. Number 2, second way this could go is that we're gonna have a grand old time together. Me and Marcus. Yeesh. You want to try to pull the ropes with both hands. Marcus handed you the rope, putting both ends in your hand with an expectant look on his face. Well, go ahead, try give it a pull, he said, grinning as he gestured at the rope. You give it a test, pulling the ropes to test its strength. It held up pretty well, although you weren't really sure what you were looking for to test the rope's strength. With a nod, you passed the ropes back to Marcus. I told you, it holds up pretty well, he stated, turning his focus back to what he was working on. You went back to the rope you were working on, a little smile on your face. It was rather comforting, just spending this time with Marcus. So, you decided to speak up, trying to think of something for you and Marcus to talk about. Well, why don't you tell me about yourself? Marcus blinked, looking up before smiling. Well, let's see. I'm a nurse, although I think I already explained that to you. My sister and I were adopted, but, well, we got really lucky, not getting separated in the system and all. You watched as Marcus gave a sheepish little laugh. That was probably too much information from someone you just met. Sorry. You're fine. You waved your hand slightly, letting Marcus know that he was fine with the information he shared. It's nice to get to know you, so I don't mind. If you're comfortable sharing that information, then it's fine. Marcus smiled at you, his shoulders relaxing as he stared for a few more moments before he went back to making rope. You stayed with him for a little while longer, finishing the rope you had started, a proud look on your face. That looks really good, Captain. You couldn't help but smile. Thanks, Marcus. I think it's time for me to take a little break, though. Sitting here has not been nice to my legs. Marcus laughed, shaking his head. Are you hungry? I'm pretty sure Nicholas has some food we can have. We can go get it. Yeah, absolutely. I'm starving. Let's go get something to eat. What do you guys usually eat anyway? Well, we eat a lot of fish. We can catch birds sometimes, so that's always nice. We also gather a lot of fruits and veggies from around the island and from Oliver's garden. We do our best to have a pretty well-rounded diet, and we haven't died yet. You both head to the campfire. Hello, Nicholas. You looked around the smoldering pit, seeing Nicholas poking at something with a stick. The redhead looked up, waving you both over. Hey, Captain. Feels like I barely seen you all day. How you holding up? I'm fine. You give a little shrug. Nicholas gave a nod, poking away at a few coals with the stick before reaching into the fire pit, pulling out some lumps wrapped in leaves. Here, guess you're hungry. You took the food? Unwrap it. It's like wild potatoes or something that Oliver found around the island. It's edible and hasn't killed us yet, so try it. You watch as Nicholas handed Marcus one of the potatoes. The brunette unwrapped it and took a bite. You do the same. It doesn't suck. Nicholas turned back to poke at the coals, covering the area once again while you ate the food, turning back to Marcus. So, now what? You finish your potatoes, crumpling the leaves up in your hands. Well, what would you like to do? I have some more rope to make and I like your company. Or you could go and, I don't know. Well, let's go. You reach your hand out, taking Marcus's hand and leading him towards the ladder to head back to the main treehouse. You like spending time, Marcus, and you found yourself making rope to be relaxing. You could definitely see yourself using rope marking your way to help you around the camp. You lost track of time as you worked, trading stars to Marcus about your past, talking about your interests, and just spending time with him. It had grown to be a comfortable silence with him, and you couldn't help the smile on your face. You didn't realize how much time had passed. Captain? Jacob! How's it going, my little dude? You blinked, looking over towards the ladder entrance and saw Jacob standing there. Ah, hey Jacob. Have you been up here all day? He hasn't been up here all day, Jacob. Captain also helped me check the med boxes. We've just been really busy. Ah, well, we were all wondering where you both were. Dinner's been ready for a while, you know, and we get it. Go ahead and head back down. We just ate. You watch Jacob frown for a moment, glancing back and forth between you and Marcus before turning and heading back down to the ladder. Marcus? Are you alright? Marcus gave you a small smile, nodding his head. Yeah, I'm all good. He gave a hesitant little smile before heading down the ladder. You arrived at the campfire, seeing some of the guys already sitting around it, turning and tossing logs into the fire and stoking it. You moved to take a seat, Marcus quickly moving in to sit by your side, passing a bowl of some sort of poultry into sauce. You weren't questioning food though, digging in. You were a little surprised that they could make really good food with the tools they had here, and you were sure if you asked the guys, they would be more than happy to share the methods. Marcus gently nudged your shoulder. Hey, you alright? You've been oddly quiet. You didn't feel like saying anything, you just gave him a little smile. Marcus gave a slow nod, turning back to stare at the fire. You could hear conversations between some of the guys, Jacob telling some sort of story as everyone ate. Well, I guess I'm leading Marcus, because, hey, I want to be comfy and I want everyone to be comfy with me. You leaned forward, falling into Marcus. You felt worn out, and you closed your eyes for a moment. He had you walk all over the island today, something you weren't expecting. You knew you did a lot of walking today, but you could feel the burn in your legs was making you feel pretty exhausted. Marcus carefully wrapped an arm around your shoulder, pulling you close, and you couldn't help but relax into him. You look tired. When you're done eating, let's get you to bed. Marcus's voice was soft, and he gave a little nod, finishing what was in your bowl. With that, Marcus took your bowl, handing it off to one of the other guys, and helped you on your feet. You didn't look over your shoulder. You didn't notice how the other guys reacted to you seeing Marcus lead you off to his room so you could get some sleep. You didn't notice the look on Marcus's face. You couldn't help but fall asleep into his bed. You were just so worn out. It had been a long day. Sleep was calling you, and you were more than happy to answer that call. You closed your eyes, shift and get comfortable for a moment as you let sleep take you. Sadly, this is all the game that has currently developed. The routes are going to be in progress. If you found any bugs or errors, please let me know because I want to make this game as fun as possible for anyone playing. If you wanna just send in a comment or question about suggestions, please do. Stay updated by following the progress on Instagram, Twitter, and or Discord. And hey, if you wanna have links to all that, you can go ahead and check out the link to the devs page over on Itch.io down in the description below. And hey, thank you guys so much for vibing with us. I am so glad to see you here. I hope you have a lovely rest of the day. And of course, I'll be seeing you in the next video. This is Lionel, signing off. Ciao.